Picasso, our people are hungry for themselves, to live healthy like their ancestors, to be stunning and beautiful. You might find on this trip that not all of us are there yet, but all of us want to be there. I think you're gonna meet some people that are out of control, just firing across the horizon. I hope you find good food here. And I hope you find lots of children. Because it's what the children want that is our future. Because they make it happen.
Maxtu is home to many Cree heroes. It's my hometown and the source of my identity. My name is Pekesa Mukesh. I am on a quest to find Indigenous champions and unsung heroes from across the Americas. People driven to save their culture, language, spirituality, and territories. My mission is to find out what connects us, so that we can learn from each other, share our wisdom, and bring about the change we want in our lives in balance with the teachings of our ancestors. This is Oahu, the third largest and most populous of the 7 Hawaii Islands. Locals call it the gathering place. Visitors see it as paradise. I'm here to meet Daniel Anthony. He's the founder of Mana'ai, a small business that produces paeai, a byproduct of poi, a traditional staple food for the Native Hawaiian made out of pounded taro root. His dream is to restore the culture of taro farming and to bring back paeai into the daily diet of the Hawaiian people. We started our journey on the west side of the island in the community of Waianae. It's where Daniel grew up and where you would find the highest concentration of Native Hawaiians. Daniel's grandfather was a doctor and moved from the mainland after World War II. We visited the hospital that pays tribute to his life, work, and dedication to the Waianae people.
My grandfather literally started from 1975 and laid the foundation for this hospital. There's a good family photo. So it's myself, my wife, my 3 kids.
The hospital overlooks the neighborhood of his childhood. It's also where he spent most of his time growing up.
Looks beautiful, but the beauty is very surface. Not directly out of here, but a little bit ways down, this naval magazine in the 60s and the 70s dumped munitions, Agent Orange, all kind of crazy stuff in barrels out here. And then these antennas are actually part of the U.S. Pacific tracking station for nuclear submarines. And what we do here is we have a pipe that goes out 3 miles, and then we dump sewage, chlorinated raw sewage, into the ocean. So this has been festering for almost 100 years. I've grown up in a pus sack. Right now, the beaches look real nice and clean, but that's only because they do a sweep. And so it'll build up, there'll be a bunch of homeless people, and the police will sweep them out, and as long as you can't see it, it's okay. Yeah.
Discovering this side of paradise is a shock to me. Hawaii, Honolulu, Waikiki, all words that used to represent something to the Hawaiian people. Waikiki means spouting water. It has been replaced by a fake fountain. What used to be a source of abundance to the people has now become abundance to the promoters of resorts, leaving Hawaiian homeless on their native land.
Hey, Lahela.
Daniel wanted me to meet Lahela, one of the young community leaders he's worked with. Lahela lives down the street from the Waianae beach. What she had to say about the youth mindset sounded familiar.
One of the saddest things is a lot of kids are grown up with the conditioning that you need to go away to be happy. You need to go away to make an income. You need to go away, and an income is the most important, and getting a degree is the most important, and you need to go away to achieve that. They're conditioned into thinking that they're a failure because they didn't leave and they didn't go out into the world and they didn't do all these things. But that to me is sad because there's so much that you can do right here. There's so much that you can learn right here that you maybe wouldn't learn as well if you went away. And for me, like that's really sad that when you try so hard to go away and then staying here is like a curse to you.
Like many youth from Waianae, Daniel felt trapped, alone, needing help. That familiar pain and confusion many Hawaiian carry was once his.
When you feel, being in a dark room, you feel like you have no choices. And if somehow you could just turn the light on, you'd realize that there was 2 doors. Then you realize that the 2 doors are right there. Sometimes you gotta open your eyes and you gotta want to seek. You have to make the choice. I sat there, 18 years old, round in the chamber, barrel in my mouth, thinking about all the reasons that I had to live. One reason I never thought of? The future. What kept me from pulling the trigger was the thought of someone telling my grandmother that her oldest grandson had committed suicide. And I couldn't repay her by taking my life. And I decided that, what? If I'm gonna be here, I've gotta do something. I'm not sure what that something is, but I'm gonna try to do it well.
In the darkness, we look for hope. This is the Kamehameha Private School, where students sing in their native language, respectfully asking for permission to be taught. The campus overlooks Honolulu, includes 70 buildings, features tennis courts and a grand library. It serves over 3,000 Native Hawaiian students, including 550 boarding students from neighboring islands. At first glance, I couldn't help but think residential school.
You. How many U's? 1 U, just.
But I discovered learning Native Hawaiian culture and language wasn't discouraged, but rather obligatory.
Those far lucky.
How do you guys feel about the fact that you're at the top of the world and the fact that you get to learn your language in school? How do you guys feel when you come to class?
Learning Hawaiian language and speaking Hawaiian language before was banned. So now that we're able to come to school and actually learn the language that our ancestors spoke and that actually connects us to our culture and where we're from, I think it's kind of interesting, and we're not like all the other people out there that sometimes get punished for speaking with how their ancestors used to speak.
These students meet Daniel dressed in a traditional malo in the campus Taro patch. The students are becoming part of a reclamation generation, and language will be the spark.
1978, there was a constitutional convention which English and Hawaiian were added as official languages. Hawaiian was added as the official language of the state. And that actually broke almost 100 years of it being illegal to teach Hawaiian in the school system. No other generation for almost 100 years had the opportunity to experience this. So we're just keeping that momentum going. This is our responsibility. You know, our generation is the living generation. And in order for us to live here, the language contains all of the secrets. All of the secrets of farming are detailed in all of the actions that are required in farming. You want to know how to do something, find out the name of doing that, and in the name really is a picture of how to do it right.
While they practice their ancestral native language, the kids awaken a part of themselves. This simple taro plant will transform the way they see the world and how they relate to it. The taro plant, kalo in Hawaiian, is linked to their creation story. Two gods, she who gave birth to the sky and sky father, fell in love. In a sacred bond, the two produced a stillborn child. They buried this child on the eastern side of the house, and from this grave grew the first taro plant. They then had another child, who was born the first Kanaka. They named him Haloa, after his elder brother. From then on, the Hawaiian people had a responsibility to care for their elder brother, who in return would care for them.
This is the older brother of the Hawaiian people, not because it's a story, but because it is, and because how it lives, it exists like a family in a community that needs resources. You know what the Taro needs? It needs the same thing that the people need, land and water. And so when we fight for the kalo, it in turn fights for us. And that's what has made us so strong. You know, this is what to fight for right here. This act, just getting your hands in the dirt, of seeing your ancestors sustain you, this is what we fight for.
Balancing the needs of humanity and nature is fragile. We travel to the north side of the island, away from the tourist traps, where Daniel took me to ground zero for genetically modified organism testing. If kalo has an enemy, this is it.
Here's just a perfect place where you see between the folds of paradise lie deep, dark crevices full of chemicals. And as much as, you know, we can fight, the fight for this is with investors. And that makes all of us guilty when we participate in that system and don't look for what the results of that system are producing. This is an enemy of the planet, an enemy of all people.
Kalo has been at the center of the Hawaiian diet since time immemorial. A food staple that almost disappeared in 1911 when the Board of Health put a prohibition on poi. A cholera outbreak questioned poi shop's sanitary handling of poi, leading to 100 years of prohibition. In 2011, a bill was passed allowing for public distribution of paeai.
This was one of the starts. This was the 1911 prohibition of poi. And in this, basically, poi factories were shut down because people were getting sick.
Taro farming was pushed to the fringes of Native Hawaiian culture. Daniel reclaimed it and now operates a small business from his home. With this age-old tradition facing dire straits and pushed to the fringes of Native Hawaiian culture, Daniel was determined to revive it. He takes care of all the processes involved in making paeai and poi. This traditional staple food is made out of taro root that are pressure cooked, then cleaned and pounded by hand. By developing commerce on the island with grocery stores, friends, restaurants, and the community, he is rebuilding an economy to help sustain taro farmers across the Hawaiian Islands. Economic and food sovereignty from Western civilization will be Daniel's tireless quest for his people. In order to achieve this, he envisioned the need to train a new generation of farmers that will feed their family and community. That's why he created the Kui Club. The club's objective is to teach youth how to develop inner strength and direct it towards growing kalo. Its success can be found in Taylor Ann Niali'i Fitzsimmons. Taylor was a member of the Kamehameha Kui Club.
And just like I Am Haloa, their goal is to connect with those youth to make the difference.
This is what I care about, and this is what's important to me. And I'm still going to Hawaii Pacific University, full ride for nursing. So I can still, get that job, but also take care of this land.
Oh, I thought she was gonna give me the meal after these guys was here. Does that feel good?
I was actually just thinking, totally, I'm gonna go to Portland University and I'm gonna, become a nurse. But, once I got my hands dirty and started working with kalo, and it just totally changed my mindset.
Well, you gotta get to work. You gotta do something. So that something would require having super positive thoughts. I want you to think about, that weed that you pull out is you're cleaning up after the wrongs of humanity. And give back, take something painful in your life and plant it. So I'm gonna put this idea, this feeling, I'm gonna put it in the dirt and I'm gonna hope something. And then you get to come back here in a couple years to do the next segment on her and you see how far that hope has gotten you.
One by one, Daniel is bringing people back to the ways of his ancestors. His efforts restore hope and pride in the hearts of Indigenous people across the island.
You guys heard about GMO? So you genetically modify something. Well, what we do over here is CMO. We culturally modify something. So what has happened is we took a regular human being that was on a course for Western civilization. We threw some signs in the heaven, we left some food, and that's what happens to him. That is a transformed Kanaka, right there, by choice. So today, this young man, he's preparing all of this equipment to go and share with fellow students at the University of Hawaii. He's starting the first taro pounding club on campus. They get together every Friday and they make poi as a student community. And so he's made the choice. When he makes poi, he chooses to wear the garb of his ancestors. And he chooses to go out of his way, sleep at uncle's house, borrow a truck, spend all morning loading it up, spending all night the night before cooking it, having to deal with security guards, policy makers, to share it. That's what he's doing. He's feeding inspiration on his campus. He's helping others to see that it is possible, plausible, permissible, and freaking amazing when you strap your malo and you pawn your collar.
Since I started wearing my malo on campus, I started to see a couple other Hawaiian boys rocking their malos at various events. When you see one person, you know, making food, when you see one person, you know, practicing their culture, after that it just spirals and people start to feel the confidence and feel the inspiration to do what they know is right.
Now, think what you like, but the reality is your choice is the most powerful thing that you have. And when you choose your indigenous roots, your cultural roots, when you choose to follow the practice of your area, wherever you're at on planet Earth, the ancestors there will honor and support you.
As I leave the island, I can't help but believe that somewhere, Daniel's grandmother is smiling down on him, thankful that he brought new life into a dying tradition, new life into his people, but perhaps more importantly, life into his own.